I'm gonna say some not so nice things about this show and the queens in it, so just know that everything I say in this video is about the edited and produced show and not these queens in real life, because I don't know these people in real life. I'm sure they're all lovely. With that disclaimer out of the way, we're here to talk about All Stars 10 episode 9, The Golden Bachelor, an improv challenge, which I love because improv challenges on Drag Race are always so fun, so entertaining, and no one ever makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm being facetious, I hate improv challenges, and I know they're probably saving it for the semifinals, but I would have preferred Snatch Game over this bullshit. That would have been better than this episode. The star booty hogwash. Whatever they did in the first bracket on the boat.
This one. Oh. I lost this one to glaucoma. Oh, I see. This is a glass eye. I am blind.
My distaste for acting challenges aside, there's a lot to get into, so let's get into it.
Sit! Hey, girl, that's not...
We start off the episode with a recap of the last episode, which I skipped. I do want to talk about these lip sync looks though, because somebody has to. Betty looked cute, but it's hard for me to say nice things about her after the way she acted this episode, but we'll get to that. Alyssa looks great, but I'm not sure if the bangs are lopsided on purpose. And Acid Betty looks so cool. I would have loved to see this costume move, especially with the song that they had last week. And the girls aren't posting pictures of these lip sync looks for whatever reason, so we only have these crack-ass screenshots to look at.
You said no. The lie detector determined that was a lie.
But whatever, everybody looks good. Cynthia doesn't, but it's fine. The girls start talking, and Daya says that she expects Alyssa to give her an MVQ point because Daya says that that's what Alyssa said she said.
So I'm really banking on Cuckoo to make the right decision as a teammate and for Alyssa to be true to her word from Untucked.
However, I reviewed the footage, I watched Untucked, and she never said that. And Untucked is unbearably boring, so the fact that Betty at Roscoe's was like...
Seriously, I know that this is like their thing to say if you're not watching Untucked, you're only getting half the story, but this season it's so true, especially for our bracket, so watch it.
Sweetheart, I did, and Alyssa never said she was giving you a point.
I'm gonna give my point to the queen that is, since day number one, been consistently.
The only thing that happened of note in Untucked was Betty pulled a huge eye booger out of Alyssa's eye, and it was disgusting. If you needed another reason not to watch Untucked, there you go. Anyway, the top two come in, and Denali takes the time to speak for the audience for a little bit, which I appreciated.
I am very proud of the lip sync that I did. In my opinion, it was perfect. And I have two choices. I can go, I'm so robbed, I'm so sad. Or I can say, I'm in the top motherfucking two.
Exactly.
Alyssa chimes in and says that she's surprised that Ginger won the lip sync, and Ginger seems surprised by her surprise.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gagged because the vibe was Denali. But at the end of the day, I'm not the judge.
Look, my dogs are barking. I'm ready to relax into this couch. But before I can even settle in, I'm being told that some of these girls don't think I won the lip sync.
Ginger acting shocked that Alyssa is surprised that she won the lip sync is confusing because Ginger herself seemed authentically gagged when she won the lip sync, and she said herself she didn't want to go up against Denali. So her acting brand new is just weird, but this is television, and I have to keep reminding myself that. Then Acid very emotionally gives her point to Cynthia, which was a great moment.
Cuckoo is my sister, and she's from my season. And I want to make sure that my fucking vote makes a difference in your journey here on RuPaul's Drag Race. So my point is for my sister, Cynthia Lee Fontaine. And wow, my voice sounds crazy right now.
Yes, it does.
But this is for you, Cynthia. I want you to have a fighting chance.
Acid knows that the judges aren't going to give her flowers, so she's using her power to push Cynthia through, just like the producers are pushing Ginger through, which I love to see. I really wanted to see Acid Betty in the next bracket, but seeing her use her opportunity to give someone else an opportunity is almost as good, and if I could skip ahead a little, what happens at the end of this episode could not have happened without Acid Betty, so someone needs to start putting some respect on her name because it's never going to be RuPaul. Alyssa also gives her point to Cynthia, which makes sense and didn't surprise me at all, but you want to know who was fucking gooped and gagged? Betty.
What? A little annoying, but you know, like, what are you gonna do about it at this point? I'm very happy for Cuckoo. Like, trust me, like,
Absolutely.
she totally deserves all the good in her life. What I'm mad at is somebody that sat on a couch, said, whoever did the best, that's who I'm gonna give the points to. Anyway.
Miss Sourpuss McGee can't fathom that Alyssa gave her point to Cuckoo. crazy sentence. Also, for me, Daya's performance in the competition has been perfectly fine. She hasn't really shined, but she's been consistently middle of the road. I'm not saying she's not beautiful, I'm just saying Daya thinks she's doing a lot better in this competition than she is, and we're seeing her crack. I think Daya knows that this next challenge is an improv challenge, and I think Daya knows that she's not going to do well, so I think that's why she's really pressed that Alyssa didn't give her a point, which I would understand if Alyssa ever said that she was going to do that, which she did not. I have to stop talking about this, it pissed me off so bad, it was so stupid. The girls come back in the next day, and Ginger brings up the fact that she feels slighted that some of the girls don't think that she should have won the lip sync.
I'm not gonna lie, like I felt at the end of last week, there was some contention coming from some of the other girls that was like, maybe you don't deserve this. And it really kind of hurt my feelings.
And by some of the girls, she means Alyssa. Alyssa says, at least I'm not fake, and Ginger laughs in her face, and then Diabetes says,
Literally say it to your face.
This leads to yet another frustrating exchange where Diabetes calls Alyssa a hypocrite, which was harsh and unfounded, and also baseless.
That you were going to give your point to who's been doing well.
Consistently,
Consistently.
Yeah. I use that word.
Right. I think what you did like literally 10 minutes later was a little bit hypocritical.
Really?
If I were a judge and this were a court, I would hold Diabetes in contempt for getting on my nerves. Alyssa asked Daya if she thinks that Cynthia hasn't been performing as well as her, and Daya jumps through several hoops to make it seem like that's not what she's saying when it is.
You're telling me that Cynthia is not being consistently?
No, I never said that. But what I'm saying is that if you're doing it based off of who's had a better track record in the competition, I should have received that point.
Obviously, she misunderstood what I said.
Daya thinks she's been performing way better than Cynthia, and technically she has, but I personally never would have put her in the top with that basic-ass bodysuit. It looked fine. I gotta move on because this video is very quickly gonna turn into me just complaining about how annoyed I was with everything related to Diabetes, which is what this video might turn into anyway, so I digress for now. We're only 10 minutes into the episode, by the way, but don't worry, because we're gonna be skipping through a huge part of this episode because, oh my goodness, I did not think this bracket could find a lower point, but it has. RuPaul comes in and tells the girls that they're gonna be doing a dog-themed improv challenge, which from the very start feels very horny and makes me laugh. RuPaul also says that they will be joined by Beep Boop Ding Dong. I have no idea who this man is. Moving on. So we get to the challenge, and this is the part that I'm largely going to skip because everyone did awful except one person, but I do have some notes. The costume they have this man, whose name I cannot remember, in is very bad, and Drag Race can afford better costumes. Diabetes came in first and was hella awkward.
And I'm Pause Vegas premiere show dog.
Didn't laugh, I didn't blow air out of my nose, but I did desperately want to fast forward. The only reason I didn't is because you can actually watch Drag Race with me if you go to the Patreon. Here's a taste.
Okay, like 1 point more.
You were in the top because the judge.
And then how is she gonna, in the same breath, say Cynthia deserves everything good in her life? However, I technically did better than her. So, girl, shut up.
Oh, that's not the point I'm making. What the point I'm making is
you don't have a point, so you're making nothing but nonsense.
You're understanding
Stop doing
what
your
I'm trying to
makeup,
say.
please. Shut up.
The girls are starting to crack.
Next up was Alyssa, who was a Russian dog. Her name was Kantushka. It was very confusing, but she looked great.
Hey.
My name is Katiushka Mari Negromato Burgos, and I'm a slutty bitch from the street.
Denali was next, and she was very hard to watch for me. It was like watching a comedian bomb. They're trying their hardest, but the jokes just aren't landing.
Who's this cutie?
It's alright, babes. Ooh, you could be the bangest in my mash.
I could tell she was trying really hard, and she had put a lot of work into her character, just none of it was effective. And that's just unfortunate, like her writing nervous on her back. I understood what she was trying to do with that, it's just the way she executed it didn't make any sense. Ginger was next, and when she came in, that was the one and only time this whole challenge that I laughed, because she came right in and said,
I'm Ginger Mange, originally from Jersey, the new one, not the old one.
That is objectively funny. Very good. The only reason I'm not praising Ginger more is because I have a bad taste in my mouth for her. This whole episode was like when that person you don't like says something funny. Like, this is the only episode where Ginger clearly outperformed everybody. It just sucks that it comes after 2 episodes of her being shoved up my ass. And then it doesn't matter if I think she did well or not, because RuPaul's just gonna put her in the top anyway. And honestly, that's why it confuses me why Ginger tried at all in this challenge, because mathematically, she could give one of her points away, have all of the other queens give their points to someone else, and she would still be making it to the next bracket. And that's why it was so annoying that Ginger was pressed that the other girls thought that she shouldn't have won the lip sync. Like, what does it matter? You're leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. I said Betty didn't do a good job, but she looked amazing. So soft, so different, so feminine. I loved every bit of it.
Is it true you don't have a master? I don't see a tag. My master calls me .com.
Cynthia wasn't good, but that didn't surprise me because Cynthia has been on 2 seasons of this show already and has never performed well on acting challenges.
He's hot!
My name is Marta Maria del Valle de las Flores Rivera Martinez de Alendongo, but you can call me Maria.
Last thing is that Denali and Daya were the only ones that actually worked together as a group. They had little bits and stuff planned, and I appreciated that. With that said, I think the bits were corny, tired, and played out. Also, not funny. I'm only harping on this because later on in the episode at the runway, Denali gets bad critiques, which she should, but Daya gets good critiques, which makes no sense because they were both awful. After the challenge, the girls are doing their makeup, and Alyssa and Daya get into it again, and to avoid repeating myself, I'll just do this to describe how I felt while watching this.
Just stop being dramatic, baby. Por
Girl,
favor, ya
I don't think
para.
you're understanding
Stop doing
what
your
I'm trying to
makeup,
say.
please. Shut up.
Now let's talk about the runway. Category is paper doll. Alyssa was gorgeous, Ginger's was boring. I like Denali's, I just don't like nude illusions. They never look like skin. It looks like tan fabric. I can't pinpoint specifically what it is about this look that I hate so much, which leads me to believe that I might not like the look because I don't like her, which is valid, because I hate this. Acid Betty's was perfect, yet again, no notes. I do think Cynthia's look was a little on the cheaper side. However, I think T.S. Madison was a little harsh, especially because they knew that the look was to honor Cynthia's struggle with liver cancer.
I laughed from the time I saw you to the end. I wanted to see more of you. But girl, this is a no. And you wrap some balls around your waist, and then you put this paper over here. You should have rethought that.
My problem is that the judges know what Cynthia's aesthetic is all about. They know it's a little tacky, which is fine, but then don't act brand new when you bring her back for her third time on the show. Maybe don't bring girls back just to tell them the same shit and give them the same storyline. This whole episode was so frustrating. The top two is announced as Ginger Mange, of course, and Daya Betty, which made not one lick of sense at all in the least. Then RuPaul forces yet another set of white queens to funk it up to a black song. I'm not saying that white queens can't perform to black songs. I'm just saying that they couldn't have at least gotten the white girls that can dance for this one. I don't hear this song and think, ugh, Ginger and Daya would eat this up, because they didn't. It was a repeat of their last lip sync, which was boring. I enjoyed this lip sync a little bit more, but that's only because the song was better. Then RuPaul says Daya won the lip sync, and this is why you gotta be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. I personally would have preferred if Ginger won this lip sync, because then that would have meant there would have been a better chance for Denali or Acid Betty to make it to the semifinals, but RuPaul hates Acid Betty and Denali, so he wanted to make sure that I personally was pissed off by these results. Anyway, the girls start giving out their points, and this is the only redeemable part of this episode because we already know Daya and Ginger are going to go on to the next bracket, so there's only one spot, and it comes down to Acid Betty's vote.
Oh my god. I am the one to decide who wins and who loses. But it f***ing sucks. Because I'm literally going to crush somebody's dreams right now.
First of all, side note, if you would have told me at the beginning of this bracket that Acid Betty would have been the phoenix of this bracket, I never would have believed you. Anyway, again, Acid very emotionally gives her point to Cynthia, pushing her through to the semifinals. The whole moment is cute, especially because Acid Betty is dramatic as f***. Acid Betty also says that she's going to be designing for Cynthia in the next bracket, which I really hope isn't a joke because I would love to see that. Anyway, that's a wrap on this bracket. It looks like next week MIB might start some drama with Ginger, so hopefully that turns out to be fun, but I gotta tell ya, this bracket was garbage. And again, it's not the queen's fault. The responsibility lays solely on the producers who made these terrible ass decisions that they knew were terrible when they made them because they just wanted to make us mad. And mission accomplished. I'm pissed. Remember, if you want to watch this episode with me, you can go to the Patreon, and also remember to subscribe to the channel because what are you doing looky-looing? You're trying to look inside the club when you can just come in and party. Goodbye.